So now it gives me a great pleasure to introduce our guest speaker for the evening, who's been with the Joy Course for many years now, 5, 6 years, and somebody who I make sure is on the lineup because there's so much wisdom and clarity and depth and interest as well. And that's my good friend Rick Hanson, who is a neuropsychologist, therapist, neuroscience expert, author of Buddha's Brain and Just One Thing, and very pragmatic ways of understanding how we're wired up, and fun at the same time. So please welcome Rick Hanson.
Well, I'm very pleased to be here, really pleased, and I consider it such a privilege to be able to participate in what James has created here. I was saying to someone before we began that it's really quite extraordinary what he's done. I mean, literally well over 10,000 people, at this point could well be tens of thousands of people worldwide, known and unknown, have taken this course, and it's so generously offered, it's so packed with content. We really have been the source of this, and it's seeded so many ripples from it. So I consider it completely an honor to be able to be here. In terms of what I'd like to talk with you about, in roughly half an hour, I'd like to present, first of all, a kind of roadmap for who we are and what to do about it. I want to ground this really cool stuff about loving yourself and all the rest of that in the body, in the animal body, what Mary Oliver has called the soft animal of the body. So that's the first part, little framework, and we'll do that fairly briskly. And then based on that, offer 2 ways to actually practice and embody loving oneself. And then hopefully have a few minutes at least at the end for some questions and discussion. All right, so get ready, strap on the seatbelt. I will be moving quickly through the first portion here. So a little evolution, right? Basically, as you probably know, the brain evolved like the 3 floors of a house, stacked on top of each other. We have brainstem, subcortex, cortex, loosely associated with reptile, mammalian, and primate human stages of evolution. Loosely. Also, relatively loosely, we have 3 fundamental needs that were addressed by the evolving brain. And somewhat in order. Our fundamental need for safety, fundamental need for satisfaction, for getting rewards, and our fundamental need for connection, relationships. So we have the threat system, the reward system, and the social system. Okay, so far? 3 things. Loosely associated now today, the whole brain works together to meet those needs. But the ways in which the brain goes about meeting those needs are very shaped by the parts of the brain that particularly focus on meeting those needs. Now, what happens when we experience that our core needs are met? Well, in terms of our core need for safety, which is managed by the avoiding harm system in the brain, kind of an operating system, if we experience that our needs for safety are met, we default to a basic state of calm or peace. If we experience that our basic needs for satisfaction, rewards are met, we're getting enough carrots, right? We default to a basic sense of contempt in a single umbrella word. And if we experience that our basic needs for connection, love, for inclusion are met in terms of our attaching system, attaching to others system, we default to a basic sense of love, in which we feel both loved and loving, since love is remarkably, whether it's flowing in or flowing out. That's pretty good news, right? And in that condition, the body repairs and refuels itself, and can function in an ongoing homeostatic way. It's an equilibrium condition. It's a sustainable condition. I think of it as the green zone, the green setting of the brain. Right? Good news. On the other hand, what happens if we feel over-challenged and we're not able to experience being fundamentally safe, even if we're dealing with challenges or threats or danger? We are not able to feel fundamentally satisfied if we're dealing with losses or opportunities just out of reach. And we're not able, let's say, to feel fundamentally loved even as we grapple with issues in the relationship field. Then the brain has a second setting. It moves out of the green zone, which I call the responsive mode of the brain, and it tips into the fight or flight red zone, the reactive mode of the brain. Two settings of the brain. And in that state, in terms of the avoiding harm system, we tip into a state of fear, all right? Flight. We want to withdraw from what's unpleasant or resist it. Or in terms of the reward-seeking part of the brain, the carrot-seeking part of the brain, we tip into a state of frustration, drivenness, and grasping, if you will. And in terms of the attaching to others system of the brain, when we experience that those basic needs for connection are not met, we tip into a state of envy or shame or loneliness or, in a word, heartache. This is the brain in the red zone. The body kicks into gear, the stress hormones flood through us, including moving back up into the brain, and we run from the lion, or we chase the opportunity, or we struggle with or cling to others. All right? Bodily resources are burned faster than we can take them in, long-term projects are put on hold, and the mind, in three basic words, is colored by a state of fear, frustration, and heartache, in terms of those three core systems and core needs. That's a brain that's colored strongly by qualities of resisting, in terms of the avoiding system, qualities of grasping, in terms of the approach and reward system, and a quality of clinging, in terms of the attaching to other system. Or in a single encompassing word, a brain colored by craving, and therefore suffering. So for those of you who are tracking what I'm doing, I'm trying to naturalize the Dharma. In other words, I'm trying to ground this ancient Buddhist psychology that's profoundly penetrating in its analysis of human psychology without reference in the frame that I'm working in to anything supernatural or metaphysical or transcendental. In that frame, the Buddha's analysis, of course, as you know, is that forms of craving lead to suffering. I'm asking myself, we understand the causes, the mental causes of suffering and their end. What are the underlying biological, evolutionary, neural causes of the mental causes of suffering and its end? So in this state in which we've moved into the red zone, this fight or flight reactive zone, Mother Nature's plan for us is that we spike, if you will, in terms of the red zone, the